Welcome back to the Uncage the Lion podcast, and I am your host, Will Layton, and glad to have you on board, glad to have you here. We're going to be talking about some important topics today. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Uncage the Lion movement or what we do, what this show is about, it is about restoring and recovering the lion-hearted masculinity in men, really reviving masculinity, bringing it back into the culture, biblical masculinity, traditional masculinity, and really seeking to raise up men of God, men that can lead their wives and their families, their children, their churches, their communities. So this is the goal that we're aiming towards, and glad to have you on board. If those things resonate with you, then you're in the right place. Now, I have a few asks of you today, not very many, but just a few. If you're a podcast listener, please show your appreciation for the show and for the movement by leaving a rating and review. It greatly increases the visibility of the podcast, especially over on iTunes, and really helps out the movement, helps get the message to more men. Other than that, you can follow along. Follow me at the Will Layton over on Instagram, and also the page specifically about masculinity and this podcast is at Uncage the Lion. Also, check out the website, uncagethelion.com. Get on the email list and say screw you to big tech. They're censoring conservative and Christian voices all the time. So, good way to ensure that you get the content straight to your inbox is just to get on that email list. And I have a free book list for you. It's just 5 books I think every man should read right now. If you want to pick that up, just go to uncagethelion.com. All right. And other than that, Gab. Connect on Gab. That's huge. All right. I really like Gab. It's a great platform. You can connect with me over there at Will Layton, and also have an at Uncage the Lion page over there. The personal pages, at the Will Layton on Instagram and at Will Layton on Gab. Those are going to be my unfiltered thoughts on politics, religion, family, finances. I have a heart for those things, so follow me there. And then, of course, Uncage the Lion movement is dedicated to recovering and restoring masculinity in the culture and bringing that back. All right, so that's it. That's over with. Housekeeping done. Let's get on to the topic for today. And this topic is a heated one, a contentious one. It's one that you're going to see a lot in the news, but I think it's really important, and I have some strong views about it, and I would love to get your thoughts on it, but also just encourage you, gents. All right, so let's dive in today. Okay, it is about why we must refuse to lie as men. Why we must refuse to lie. It seems kind of obvious, but it's not exactly. And what I mean by that is, you must stand and have integrity as much as possible, because the culture is trying to push back and shove lies down our throats and get us to accept lies that are obviously lies and obviously untrue. And once they do that, they have power over you. Broken your spirit. They've allowed you to accept things that are against reality, that are against God. And this is how a culture and a society drastically goes downhill quickly. So let's dive in. I'm talking about transgenderism today. That's a big one. And the Marxist push for power, the power grab, what that means to us as men. All right. So I wanted to highlight something. There is a tweet from the ACLU out, I think it was today, and I'm just going to read this for you. All right. Just pay attention. The ACLU tweeted, "Fact 1, trans girls are girls." And then they put a little bubble that says, "Myth. Sex is binary, apparent at birth, and identifiable through singular biological characteristics." So they're saying that's the myth. All right. Did you catch that? They said, there is no one way for our bodies to be. Women, including women who are transgender, intersex, or disabled, have a range of different physical characteristics. There's a range of different physical characteristics, they say. Biological sex and gender are not binaries. There are no set hormone ranges. No set hormone ranges. Think about that one. Body parts or chromosomes. That's the one that really gets me. That all people of a particular sex or gender have. Okay. This is what's being shoved down our throats, gentlemen. Women. I know ladies listen to this show too. So this is what's being shoved down our throats. This is what the ACLU tweeted out. This is what is going to be taught in schools. It's not, maybe it is. It is right now, and it's going to be in the future more. It's shoved down your throat, shoved down the throats of kids. It's going to confuse your children. It's going to cause depression. It's going to create a whole bunch of mess. All right, a big mess. Okay, so that's what the ACLU said. Now, I want to highlight a post that I made on my Instagram page at Uncage the Lion a few days back. And I posted this before I knew of this tweet. So just had coincidence here. All right. I posted this 2 days ago. All right. So I said, I will never call you by your preferred pronoun. If that makes me a bigot somehow, then fine. I'm okay with that. But I'm not going to lie to myself, lie to you, or most importantly, lie to God. You're a man, you're not a woman, or vice versa. You don't need affirmation in your delusion. You need truth. And that's the most loving thing that I could do for you. I said, stand for truth. And I said, follow me on Gab, because I posted that on Gab and then I shared it to Instagram. This is what I'm talking about. You are called a bigot if you think that men are men and women are women. And here's the real truth is that it is not loving to affirm somebody in a delusion. It is not. Okay? When the ACLU says biological sex and gender are not binaries, there are no set hormone ranges, body parts, or chromosomes that all people of a particular sex or gender have. That is bullcrap. And everyone knows it. That's why there's been male and female since the beginning of time. You shouldn't have to try to convince a population so hard that there are more than one gender if there really is more than one gender or sex. Whatever. I know they make distinctions between the two words. And the reason why they're trying to push so hard and convince you so hard that there is because there is not. Also, you shouldn't have to say that you're transgender, if there are more than one gender. If there really is more than one gender, if gender's fluid, you shouldn't have to say that you're transgender. But you have to say that because there is only two genders. There's male and female. So you've switched to the other one. When you're transgender, it's just a bunch of nonsense. All right. But this is the stuff that's in the news. This is what we're getting bombarded with every day. And I feel for these people. I do. But I really truly believe that the most loving thing that you can do for somebody is not partake in the delusion. Do not partake in the lie. Because it's not just... See, here's the thing. These lies and all this is coming and attacking biblical morality, traditional values, It's attacking your children, and all these things, confusing, causing depression. There's more suicide in the transgender community than I think any other community. I don't have the statistics right in front of me, but I've looked it up before, written papers on it. It is appalling, and I feel bad for them because when you start to affirm someone's delusion and they go and they get medical surgeries to change them to something that they are not, and the thing is it doesn't really change them. It just mutilates their body. It's all it does. It's all it does. It doesn't change you. Because here's the thing. Here's the fact of the matter. We are not at a point, nor will I think we ever will be at a point where we can change a person's chromosomes. Every single cell, and this is what gets me about this, where it says, or chromosomes, that all particular, it says that chromosomes don't matter. That's what the ACLU says. Every single cell in your body screams what sex you are. Every single cell. Your chromosomes, you're either XX or XY. A very small percentage of people are born with genetic mutations that involve chromosomes. Very small percent. Okay? These are outliers. These are mutations. These are not normal. It's not healthy in most cases. In most cases, it leads to sterile. You're completely infertile. You can't reproduce. If you have, any other combination besides XX and XY. And yet they're saying, ACLU is trying to tell you that, oh, it's fine. Whatever combination you want. Folks, these are science deniers to the worst degree. Not just spiritual and traditional values and morality deniers or science deniers. But here's the thing. I feel bad for these people that believe this delusion and believe this lie because they go and they get their bodies mutilated. They suffer with depression. They're being told by everybody and affirmed in their delusion that, oh, yes, you're a woman, when it's clearly a 6'3" man, 220 pounds. Don't even get me started. Please do not get me started on Joe Biden destroying women's sports. Okay? Destroying it. How unfair is that? I don't want to get off on a tangent here. So, but they're being affirmed in their delusion, and then they're getting their bodies cut up, and it doesn't change anything because they're still a man. Person's not a woman and never will be. If you want me to call you Karen instead of Joe, whatever. Legally change your name, whatever. I don't care. But I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to tell you that you're a woman when you're a man. I won't do it because that's how societies fall. That's how objective reality and objective truth falls, and that's what the Marxist and the progressive push for power. It starts with small lies. Excuse me. So I want to dive a little deeper into this, okay? So that's the beginning. You have this transgenderist push, and it's an obvious assault on reality because common sense people know it. But here's the thing. This is what the progressive does, the left does. They start by making you deny reality, and everyone knows they're denying reality. But then you have to justify it because in fear of scorn, in fear of ridicule, you are forced to accept something that you know is not true, and that everyone else knows is not true, but nobody can acknowledge it. That's how power grabs happen. That's how atrocities happen. That's how genocide happens. All right. So, this is the postmodern assault on truth and free speech. You're not allowed to say stuff that is obviously true. Okay, and this is the Marxist push for power, like I said. So here's another post that I want to highlight real quick about this. All right. And it says, okay, so this is what I said. I said, the Marxist path to power starts with the abolishment of reality and truth. It prospers when people accept lies on a cultural level for fear of scorn and ridicule. Men, the most practical thing you can do right now is this: refuse to indulge delusions. Refuse to lie. And then I went on to say, excuse me, I went on to say, God is real. Absolute truth exists. Men are men, women are women. A man cannot become a woman, nor a woman become a man. Marriage is between one man and one woman. Abortion is murder. Sex outside of marriage is sinful. Masculinity isn't toxic. The husband is the head of the wife the helpmeet of the husband. Fathers are unimaginably important, and patriarchy is good for family and society. Husbands must love their wife as Christ loves the church with a self-sacrificial love. Children are a heritage from the Lord. Molecule to man evolution is a lie. We were intelligently designed by our Creator and reflect His image. We descended from one man and one woman, Adam and Eve. We were created to know God and make Him known. Strength, honor, courage, Uncage the Lion. So that's what my post was. All right, and then I went on to talk a little bit about, in the slide, some Alexander Solzhenitsyn quotes. So this is the whole point of this podcast. Is you from all sides are having an assault on truth and assault on reality, and as a man it is up to you to defend truth, defend reality, and stand up for what's right and speak boldly against it. Lies are lies. Do not be afraid to address them as such. Do not be cornered. The future of the free world is at stake. The future of your children is at stake. The future of free speech, religious liberty is at stake. It is truly a slippery slope, and we've been sliding fast down it. Real fast. So don't be afraid to speak the truth. Every single one of those little bullet point things that I said underneath my post in the caption of my post that I just read off, every single one of those things is like a trigger point. It's like, oh, how dare you say that? Yes, I believe the husband is the head of the household. Yes, I believe the wife is the helpmeet to the husband. Yes, I believe that molecule to man evolution is ridiculous, because it is. Okay? All these things science is on the side of. Philosophy, logic, the great minds of Western civilization are on the side of these things. The progressive left is on the side of the other, and it wants you to deny all of these things, force you into a corner, strip away your manhood. You don't have to be mean or rude about it. You don't. Just because I won't acknowledge your pronoun doesn't mean that I don't like you. Doesn't mean that I hate you. Doesn't mean that I wish harm upon you. It means I will not be forced to indulge in your delusion. I will not be forced to lie. You are not going to force me to lie. My integrity is at stake as a man. My word is at stake as a man. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say that abortion is right. I'm not going to say that, women's rights, they should be able to kill their baby. I'm not going to say that you are a woman just because you had your balls cut off, estrogen injected into your body, and you're growing some boobs. You're still a man. You're just a mutilated man. You've ruined your body. And I feel bad for you. I really do. I pray you repent, come to Christ. I pray that you get your stuff figured out and you get some real help and surround yourself with people that truly love you. All right, so this is I told you it was going to be a hot button podcast. But this is what I want to see more men do, because when men don't stand up to these lies, we quickly nosedive as a society. They power grab. That's what the left does. Ooh, we can get you to believe this lie. We can get you to say this thing and force you into this corner because you're scared of being ridiculed. You're scared of being called a bigot. All right, let's take this next step away from you. Now that we got you to admit that men are women and women are men, let's get you to admit that children should be able to change gender. And if you don't let your children change the gender just because they said something, we're going to call Child Protective Services on you, take your children away, throw you in jail. That's the next step. Absolutely it is. Did you hear about that case of that guy and his wife. They were going through divorce or something. She was trying to change his son over into a girl, and he didn't want her to. I don't know what happened to the end of it. I didn't follow it through all the way, but that was a big thing, just like 6 months ago, maybe. The dude was fighting for his son's life by his wacko mom that believed that these things were okay to do. I feel bad for that dude. I really do. All right. So this is what happens when you refuse to stand up for truth. This is what happens. All right. So let's talk about Alexander Solzhenitsyn real quick, and then we'll round out this episode. I don't want to go too long. Who is Alexander Solzhenitsyn? Alexander Solzhenitsyn was an incredible man, a brilliant thinker and author, and he was a noted critic of the communist left and the uprising that was happening in Russia after World War II. He was, he criticized Joseph Stalin. And so he wrote about his critique of what he saw going on, this exact push for power I'm talking about right now. They want you to deny truth. Okay? He wrote about this, he criticized it, and he was thrown into the gulag. Ever heard of the gulag? I think he was in Siberia. I don't know 100% if that's where it was, but I'm pretty sure he was in Siberia. And he was in forced labor camps, prison, beaten, tortured for almost a decade. And then he was exiled from his country. All because he criticized communism. This is what's coming to America if we don't stand up. Okay, so this is one of his quotes. The simple act of an ordinary brave man is not to participate in lies, not to support false actions. His rule: let that come into the world, let it even reign supreme, only not through me. Did you catch that? If lies are going to come into the world, even if they come in and they reign supreme, and there's nothing you can do about it, don't let it come into the world through you. Here's another one. But let us not forget that violence does not and cannot exist by itself. It is invariably intertwined with the lie. They are linked in the most intimate, most organic, and profound fashion. Violence cannot conceal itself behind anything except lies. That's true. And lies have nothing to maintain them save violence. Anyone who has once proclaimed violence as his method must inexorably choose the lie as his principle. Violence does not always and necessarily lunge straight for your throat. More often than not, it demands of its subjects only that they pledge allegiance to lies, that they participate in falsehood. It's the man that was thrown in forced labor prison in Siberia, in the gulag, for 10 years. If you don't think governments can do this type of stuff, you're out of your mind. Just literally just read a portion of the history of the 20th century. Okay? More on that in 1 second. Here's the last one I want to read. And the lie has, in fact, led us so far away from normal society that you cannot even orient yourself any longer. In its dense gray fog, not even one pillar can be seen. Kind of sounds like what's going on right now. But I mentioned I wanted to talk about just a second ago. Just look into the 20th century if you don't think that that type of stuff can happen. All right? So here's another post I made right after that one, because I felt compelled to talk about this. I said, why is Christianity and conservatism so important? Because in the 20th century alone, over 100 million innocent people were murdered by their own governments. Yes, in less than 100 years, More people were murdered by communism than by all the religious wars in the history of the world combined. Or 100 million in less than 100 years. Because they fed the lie down your throat. They forced you to accept it. So, men, this is a warning. It's a call to action. Even something simple as transgender, it's not simple, but something like that, seemingly harmless. Well, it doesn't affect you. It's getting you to deny objective truth and objective reality. That's the game plan here. Don't buy it. Fight against it. Protect your children. Protect your loved ones. And fight and love the people that are going through this mess, that are being affirmed by the left, that are mutilating their bodies. I mean, goodness gracious. All right, gentlemen, the world needs you. Stand up. Refuse to lie. Done. All right. That's the episode. That's the podcast episode. If you're still listening, thank you so much for listening in. Really, really appreciate it. And I just wanted to ask you to support this movement, support this podcast. Leave a rating and review. Please go connect with me over on Instagram at Uncage the Lion or at the Will Layton. I'll be very active on at the Will Layton. Connect over on Gab at Will Layton and also at Uncage the Lion over there for the podcast page. And I'm on MeWe. Find me on MeWe at Uncage the Lion. I'm on Twitter at Uncage_the_lion. On Facebook at Uncage the Lion 1 or at Will Layton. And check out the website. Brand new, just launched. Get on the email list. Get your 5 books. Get 5 books that every man should read right now for free, right to your inbox. Get on the email list so you can get the tips and tactics and advice on manful living straight to your inbox each week. Nothing big tech can do. They can't censor it if it's going straight to your inbox. Unless they shut down the internet service providers or stuff like that, which I wouldn't put it past them. But for right now, we're not there. So thankfully, you can still get on the email list. Go over there. Links will be in the bio. Just hit the Linktree link. It'll bring up a whole bunch of links. Wherever you want to connect with me, it'll be right there. Okay? Send me a DM on Gab or comment on Gab or hit me up on Instagram in my DMs. Let me know what you thought about this episode. And on YouTube and Rumble, this podcast episode, if you're listening to the audio right now, is available over on YouTube and Rumble. Go over, subscribe. Both of those platforms. Rumble is the free speech alternative to YouTube. And YouTube, of course, is YouTube, but they're not super friendly about conservative voices. So don't know how long that'll last, but use it while I can to get the message out. Speak truth with love. All right. Be bold. All right. So go over there, subscribe, comment, and like and share this message to men that need to hear it. Ladies, if you're listening, share it with the men in your life. All right. Love you guys. Have a good one. Strength, honor, courage. Uncage the Lion.